Welcome to WSOT TV City Talk. We're so glad that you're joining us for another episode. And I want to welcome to the show the Mayor of Marion, Jess Allenball. Thank you for joining us today, sir. Appreciate having you here. Good, good. It's been a little bit of a rainy day, hasn't it?
A little bit of a lot of rain for many days.
A lot of rain, but you know, it's good for the gardens, makes the flowers grow, right?
There's a reason for everything.
That's right.
Although it's hurting my golf game, I'll believe the Lord has the perfect plan for all this rain.
Well, you know why? I think I know why we have rain. Because in a little bit on the show, we're going to be joined by Fire Chief Jeff Williams. And we're going to talk about the new FEMA grant and the money that the department received. But I think the rain had to come so that he could clear his schedule long enough to be here.
There you go.
Right?
There's always a reason for
All
it.
right. That's right. Well, you know, we had some exciting things happen today down at City Hall. It's the National Day of Prayer. And I understand that Nikki Owen organized, and she is your secretary, she organized a special event at City Hall. Would you share with us a little bit? How was the turnout for that?
Well, we actually had about 60 people is what one of the newspaper reporters thought, and I did not count, but we think we had about 60 people. We usually have it outside by the flagpole on the Branson Street side of City Hall. With the rain, we moved it inside, and we had it on the main floor, the first floor of City Hall. In the entryway there, plenty of room for everybody, and it was really nice. We had 8 different people pray specific prayers that were being prayed all around the United States. So, and anybody in that same time zone as us, we're also praying all over, where people had an interest in praying to the Lord for direction and protection and hopefully hope and growth.
Yep. Let's talk about something that happened recently through a state agency regarding the blight elimination program that Marion has. And I understand that over the course of the last few years, the city has received around $1.6 million in funding from the state agency for the purpose of removing blight. And I understand great progress has been made. There's roughly 80-some properties that are in need of demolition, and maybe 2/3 of those have been removed so far. And this year, didn't the city just receive a sizable amount of money to help go towards those efforts?
We did, and it's because it's been deemed a very effective program. And in fairness to the previous administration, they were doing a great job too with this. Mayor Siebold's administration had also been rewarded or received some praise for their blight elimination. We've just tried to continue that and hopefully make some improvements to the process.
Yeah.
Jerry Falsnight, I call him Bulldog. Everybody at City Hall calls Jerry Bulldog, and many people in our community, but he's the head of that
Should I ask
department. Why? I just did it because he's so determined. He's fair, very fair, but very determined to improve our community, and he treats everybody the same. It's fair across the board, which was very important to me, that we be fair to all citizens, no matter their wealth or anything, that everybody gets treated by under the same rules. But we've got to clean it up. I will tell you this, I'll bet many of your viewers are thinking, are they really working that hard? There's so much blight. Well, they are. Mike Flynn, my chief of staff, and I often have lunch together, and on the way back, we'll see more blight. And by the way, some of that blight continues to add up. You may not see it today, but tomorrow somebody else isn't taking care of a property that they own or mowing the grass. And we get back and I'll say, Bulldog, what do you do all day? I see this blight everywhere. It is a big problem here in our community, and we are trying to address it and make it a top priority. We're doing a good job, but it's a big, big task.
Now tell me a little bit about this video that was produced, because I actually had a chance to look at it, and it was produced through the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. And it was basically done to recognize Marion and actually another city, Gary, Indiana. Marion and Gary are the 2 cities throughout the state with the most success in dealing with blight in their communities. And I know that you are in the video, and as is Bulldog or Jerry, and I believe Mike Flynn. So tell us a little bit about the process and the video. And I want to let people know that if you want to see what we're talking about, go to the show website, ctmarion.com. We're going to put that video. It's about 8 minutes in length, I think.
Right.
8 minutes long, and you can watch it, and it tells a really neat story. But I want to hear from you. What was that like? What can we learn from that video?
Well, first of all, let me ask you this, because I asked the 2 individuals that came to do this. They did a very professional job. They were actually very good at it. When you think of Gary, is it a real positive feeling, or is it more of a negative?
From the video or from
your view of Gary and what you hear and hear about Gary
You
overall.
seem to hear a lot of press that's negative about Gary.
And that's who we were being compared to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they face some of the same challenges we face.
Mm-hmm.
People are living with very little money or in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people in our community. That in and of itself oftentimes leads to not maintaining properties as well as they should
Mm-hmm.
or could. And so that was my take on it at first was, okay, we're being compared to Gary. As mayor, what can I do to make sure we never get compared to that again, that we are starting to progress? And one of the ways is effectively doing what Gary's trying to do to improve.
Yeah.
Let's try to eliminate the blight. But from a man of faith perspective, here's the catch in that. We fix the blight. We
Yeah.
knock down or clean up the property. But until we change the culture and the attitudes of the people, it's temporary change because it's just going to go creep up somewhere else in our community. We have to find solutions to change that behavior and that way of lifestyle to where it's not repeated over and over, and help, I guess the old parable, teach people to fish. Let's not just keep giving them fish, but how do we change this culture?
Mm-hmm.
That's the real key to Marion's long-term success.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is one of the reasons that City of Champions slogan
That's
is
exactly right.
so key. Mm-hmm. And I think also the participation that we saw today with the National Day of Prayer effort shows, even in a rainy, wet day, kind of cold and chilly, you had 60 plus people turn out for that event. And I think that speaks to the heart of the community. And knowing also from the efforts that the Indiana Wesleyan students put forth this past year to come up with the City of Marion branding and the logo and whatnot, knowing the discoveries that they found about Grant County and Marion being one of the most generous and charitable communities within the state. I think that speaks volumes about the mindset and where people are
That
right
speaks
now.
to our
So
heart, doesn't it?
I think we're on the upbeat there. So, we need to pause for a really quick commercial break, but do you know what we're going to do is we're going to take a next segment with Fire Chief Jeff Williams, and we're going to talk about the FEMA grant, the $144,000 that they received to be able to get some new equipment and gear and some other exciting things. So how excited were you to find out about
That was cool, and some of the gear was in my office until they could come. We had to put the gear all over because
Really?
that's a lot of gear coming in. So it was pretty exciting to see the firemen pumped up about getting new gear to wear. I mean, let's face it, those are tough jobs, and now at least they'll have gear that's in good shape, that's brand new, and able to protect them and make their job a little easier. That job will never be easy, but
No.
this makes them feel a lot better about their profession when we can provide that kind of gear.
Yeah. So important that they're protected while they're out there protecting us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we want you to stay with us. Give us a call on that message line while we're on commercial break, 536-WSOT. Send us a text or go to the show website, ctmarion.com, and we will be right back with more City Talk in just a moment.
If just one step could change the future of diabetes, why wouldn't you step out? Join us at Step Out, Walk to Stop Diabetes. Bring your friends, family, and coworkers to walk with thousands of people across the country and help us make a difference. Together, we can stop diabetes. Register today at diabetes.org/stepout or call 1-888-DIABETES. Let's change the future, one step at a time.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams.
Michael Adams.
Students who miss 18 days of school in any grade risk falling behind and not graduating. Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today.
Welcome back to WSOT TV City Talk. We're so glad that you're joining us today. Now, I want to remind you that this show is all about the City of Marion and the news that pertains to what you need to know. Now, if you'd like to be a part of the show, we want to invite you to call into the show. We have a local number. It's a message line, 765-536-WSOT. You can also text that number as well, or go to the show website, ctmarion.com, submit your comments and watch archived episodes there. Now, I have a very special guest today, the the chief of the Marion Fire Department, Mr. Jeff Williams. And Jeff, I welcome you to the show. We have some great news that you're going to be sharing with us here in just a few moments, correct?
I hope so. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. Now, but we were just talking with the mayor about the success of the blight elimination program. And, I was thinking about vacant buildings and whatnot. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Fire Station number 1, which I know is kind of out of service, if you will, since October, maybe about 6 months or so.
We had to leave in October last year.
Mm-hmm. But still part of the fire department, and I know that you're letting it house some vehicles that are out of service right now. But I'm curious, is there anything in the works for that building? Because I know there's a lot of sentimental value attached to it.
Yeah, a lot of guys from the department started off at that station. I myself did. When you're a new guy, you are assigned to station number 1, and there's a lot of sentimental reasons, but for the most part, we are looking at different opportunities to possibly rebuild or fix that structure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're working with 2 different citizens in Marion that had some real concerns, and we're looking at different options like grants, and they're Ruth Ann Sumter and Linda Holderson, good friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
We put together a committee, and we're looking at different options on what we can do to keep from, getting into the taxpayer money and finding different ways to support this project. So.
Yeah, I like the creative solutions. Now we're talking about a project, and I know that there hasn't been any kind of official announcement released as far as to what you're going to be doing with Fire Station number 1, but I'm kind of curious. I've heard all kinds of scenarios, maybe even possibly a training center for other firefighters.
We've looked at that option.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we went down from 64 down to 58 on our manpower, and we don't feel that, spreading or bringing the guys back to the station at this time is a good thing. Our response times only went up, I think, 7 or 8 seconds.
Really? Now, see, that was a really important thing, because we had talked about that when you joined us last on the show last fall. And that was one of the things that you noted, was that we are below, the city of Marion is below the national average for response time. So well within range of what you were.
I believe we're like 2 minutes and 58 seconds on structure fires and 20 seconds faster on EMS runs.
Talk about the FEMA grant that you just received. It was a huge amount of money, and it allowed for some new gear for the firefighters. Please share with us a little bit. How much was this grant?
$144,000.
That's sizable. Congratulations. Aren't you thrilled to know that? That's sizable amount, right?
Yep.
What did you do with the 144?
We bought 58 sets of fire gear.
58 sets.
We bought boots, coats, and pants.
Awesome.
And every Marion firefighter now has a new set of gear.
Really? Now tell me a little bit about the process. Who helped you put that grant together?
That's a great question. Last year, actually in December of 2015, they opened up that grant period, and I called up Dale Owen and asked him if he could help us out on writing that. And he started getting to work right away. Had a very short period of time to do that. And Rick Bax, another firefighter on our department, helped him with numbers. And we got it all together and submitted it, I think, the day before it was due.
Oh, wow.
So it was a very short period of time.
I've heard that's a good time to submit those, because it means you're at the top of the stack, right? It worked this time anyway. Yeah. Well, tell me, how did you find out that you actually were going to be the recipient of? Was there any kind of special?
Last year, we were actually at FDIC last year, and we talked to some of the FEMA staff, and they were able to look it up on the computer and gave us an unofficial congratulations, and we were very happy. We had to keep it a secret for a while until the official call from Susan Brooks, a congressperson. She called me up at work and said, "Hey, congratulations, you received a grant from FEMA of $144,000. So we're very happy about that.
Serious cause for rejoice.
Yeah.
I'm curious that with this new equipment, the jackets, the pants, the boots, and whatnot, is there anything particularly special about them? I'm just a little curious about how they're going to help benefit the firefighters. Is it how that's maybe going to help them improve their efforts to help us in the community?
All the gear that we got was specifically tailored to each and every one of the guys on the department. The company that we selected came from Dayton, Ohio, brought their whole entire team up to us, and took them 3 days and measured every guy on our department, and they're pretty close to perfect.
Wow. So I can only imagine it must be important for everything to fit well. I'm just imagining the what you go through when you're dealing with the fire, trying to contain and get it under control. How important is it for things to fit properly?
It can definitely be cumbersome to you if your knees aren't bending because your gear's holding you back.
I never even thought about that. That does make sense, though. You've got to be completely encased in your, for lack of better words, your uniform or your gear. But I don't think about that being something that would impede your mobility.
And some of the improvements that they made on the fire gear, as opposed to 10 to 15 years ago, is so much more advanced now. So we've got different materials that are letting the firefighter breathe. Letting the heat release inside temperatures, but still protecting them from the actual fire temperature. So they've made some advancements,
I would say. Now, I also want to bring up something that you mentioned when we were on the show, or you were on the show with us last, and it had to do with fire hoses and a donation that you received from Round Robin Bingo Barn. What is the status of that?
We received a $5,000 donation from them, and it was we bought large diameter hose. We had hose testing last October, and we had 31 sections of hose that failed. And I scrambled and racked my brain, how are we going to get the money to pay for this? And we submitted a request to Round Robins, and they came through for us, and we really appreciate that.
That's wonderful. And I know we're running out of time here, but I do want to say one more quick thing. You had said something to me right in the middle of the break there about fire prevention and smoke detectors.
Yes.
Want to give us a word on that?
Always check your smoke detectors at least once a month. If you need batteries, we have batteries up at headquarters. It's 3rd floor City Hall. If you need a smoke detector, come up and see us, and we can get you a smoke detector.
Very good. Well, Chief Williams, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on the show. It's been a joy to have you. We'll hope you'll come back and share some more good news in the future.
All right. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more WSOT City Talk in just a moment.
In many ways, my job at Boeing feels like a continuation of my role in the Air Force Reserve.
Like when I'm refueling aircraft from a KC-135 tanker at 20,000 feet. Plus, there's a unique fellowship within the military and my civilian job. We take care of each other and support one another like family. Many people spend their whole lives looking for their dream job. I have that dream job.
Start your adventure with the Air Force Reserve.
Welcome back to WSOT TV City Talk. We are so glad that you are still with us, and we are getting ready to talk about something that everybody here within the city of Marion knows a lot about, and that's potholes. And we have viewer questions, Mayor, for you about locations, and it's springtime, and that is something that we talk about every year on the show because it's just a part of life. No matter where you live, potholes and springtime go hand in hand, right? If you're in Indiana. All right. Well, if you have questions or comments that you would like to share with the mayor and let your voice be heard on the show, I want to invite you to call that message line, local number 536-WSOT. Text the number as well, or go to the show website, ctmarion.com, and then you can submit your comments there as well. Now, I know that we have talked about a grading system that you have put in place to determine for the roads that need repaired, who gets repaired first. And I know funding is something that the entire state is lacking in the way of funding for road repair. And so everybody's having to kind of be really cautious and budget where they're going to put their dollars first. So can you share with us what the plans are for road repairs throughout the 2017 season? And is there somewhere that people can go to find out that list?
Well, it's been in the newspaper. We gave the media and the and the radio station, because they have me on a very regular basis, and the media, the local newspapers call me on a very, very regular basis. So we pass that information on to them. I think I need to make sure that Layla Price, who is our marketing person, puts this on the City of Marion's page on Facebook.
Okay, so Facebook.
So that they can go onto there and find the City of Marion's Facebook page, and we'll put that out there with the streets that we are focusing on first this year.
That'll be super. Won't you like to be able to look and see what the progress is? That's a good thing.
Now, I'll give you a little bit of an oversight on the ones I can remember right now, but first let's talk about those potholes. I would like you folks at home to call. We're the Pothole Patrol people, the people of Marion. Let us know. We know those are going to come up. If you're not aware of how this show works, you may watch it weeks after it's been taped when it re-airs again. This is that week in May of 2017 where it's just rained for about a week now, and that creates more problems with potholes. So don't be afraid to call the city at 662-9931 and say, serious pothole here, can you guys come and patch it? We'll patch it if the weather gets cold and then rain comes. It'll probably bubble right back up, but we'll patch it again. That's why we're going to call it the Pothole Patrol. We'll come patch those potholes as quickly as we can. You just have to let us know. When it comes to paving the streets, I focused on the major thoroughfares.
Okay.
We don't have the resources to pave every street that we'd like. You ask about grading streets. Mike Graft, our city engineer, does that. He's been doing that for some time, way before I was mayor, because he has to answer to the state. Certain streets, if they get a low grade like an F, and Mike grades them at an F, no matter how little traveled they are, we risk losing grant money if we don't take care of streets in that kind of disrepair. After that, we A, B, C, Ds, we try to rate them under my leadership based on importance of travel. I believe some streets are just travel a lot more. They can get you to any part of town because there's some of our major thoroughfares. Let's get those fixed soon. That gives you at least one avenue of travel to and from work, to and from school, to and from the doctor, to and from the grocery. So we're focusing on South Lincoln Boulevard, South Washington Street on the north end of town, South Lincoln Boulevard being from like 38th Street up to the railroad track there in front of Bar Brothers at 26th Street. North Washington Street, we started that from Highland all the way back down to Bradford Avenue. We'll take that Bradford Avenue south on North Washington Street to the bridge in downtown Marion there. And we have other roads I'm trying to think of, but they're all north and south, which is kind of unique. I didn't realize that when we were assessing them and grading them. But these are some of our major thoroughfares. There's going to be about 5 or 6 roads that we do some paving on. We can pave about 2.5 miles of roads this year with the money we have. It's all going into roads. All the money in our budget for that are all going into the roads. And we hope to get Western Avenue. That's another one that needs paved. But it's, of the roads that we listed, it's probably in better shape than the others. We think we'll have enough money left, especially if we get the other resources from the state that we think we're going to receive at the end of the year, end of the summer, early fall, that we can then go right back out late in the year and do Western Avenue before winter sets in. So we think you'll see a lot of, we know you'll see a lot of improvement in our north-south major roads.
I'm so glad that you bring that up, the main thoroughfares and whatnot. I have a viewer that called in. His name is Vic. And Vic, thank you so much for watching the show and for taking the time to leave a message. And he would like to know about Wabash Avenue because he believes that that is a main thoroughfare as well. And so he's wondering, are you going to be doing anything for Wabash Avenue?
Yeah, it's on the list. That's another one.
It is.
I don't have that list in front of me, and my mind's full of so many different ideas and thoughts.
I know, we did put you on the spot, didn't we?
But it is, from the hospital north, it's on the list to pave. And I know it's in bad shape because we all travel Wabash quite a bit. That's one of those major roads. That's why I thought it was so important to do the major roads first. It gives you one option to get through Marion on better roads.
So Vic, there you go. He is going to be taking care of Wabash Avenue. I hope that we were able to answer your question sufficiently there. And now I have another one that has to do with Walnut Street near River Road. And Mary called in. And Mary, thank you for watching the show, and thank you again for calling in. Now, because we've got Pothole Patrol now, so Vic and Mary, they're part of that. So that's a good thing. She would like to know why, because you just mentioned this is a problem that the city deals with regularly. Why is it that we are patching and not just paving? Because she has observed that crews will come out, great job of patching. And then she said no sooner that they get it patched that traffic and weather comes through and it's right back to being a crumbled mess. Why are we not paving?
Because of the cost.
It's the
Paving
cost.
costs money. In fact, if you pave a street from one end to the other, now you have to do, because the American with Disabilities Act, we'll be doing curbs too for the less fortunate among us, those disabled people. When we pave long stretches of road, you also have to spend, it's not inexpensive to do those curbs. Those are very expensive.
Right.
But those will happen on these roads that we're paving from one end to the other. When you start paving a long extension of road, then those other costs with curbs and ADA compliance come into, and all those cost money. And Walnut's probably not as heavily traveled. I know that where she's talking about.
Okay.
So we'll patch it with the potholes we're now, which is kind of the patchwork. But maybe by next year or so, we'll be able to skip patch those areas. Skip patching also does not require you to put in the curbs and all of the ADA requirements that all soon add up very quickly.
That's where people see the big strip of black
yeah,
that just kind of takes
and
some
then you'll see the old road again for a stretch,
so.
and then you'll see a patch where that was really bad. And
It's kind of like a big Band-Aid.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing some of that. In fact, Mike Graff just brought that into me today.
Ah, good.
I have not even looked at it. I sat it on my desk because I had meetings all day, but it is on my, and it's a list of some places he thinks we ought to skip patch this year as well. So we'll be doing some skip
Don't
patching.
give up hope. If you're out there and you're part of the Pothole Patrol, don't give up hope. They have plans. They are trying to deal with it. So I would be remiss also. I did have one other viewer call in, and sorry, you didn't give your name, or I would have said hello to you as well. But thank you for watching. And this is again potholes off of 35th and Home Avenue area. I think they said Hayes Street. So maybe make that as a mental note too. Now, we're running out of time, so I want to also talk about another question that we had text in. So thank you for texting in to the 536 WSOT. And they would like to know about a new business. They want to know if you have any new businesses going in out by Myers, and if so, what is it?
Well, the mattress firm just opened up out there. That is open for business. There are a few others that I cannot talk about yet. They like you to keep quiet when you do know things as a city administration. These
Okay, well then we'll let you stay quiet. I'll just interrupt you right there.
But there's some things working in the works there.
There's some stuff in the works, and that's all we're going to say, right?
At this time, that's all I feel I should say.
All right. But that's okay, though, because we do have something that you can talk about that's exciting and new, and it has to do with the Marion Mall, and there's something new coming in. It has to do with fitness.
Well, don't look at me when you use the word fitness.
Oh, how about Planet Fitness,
there you
right?
go.
Okay, so we have a Planet Fitness coming in.
Right.
And tell me, when is that, how did that happen, and when is that going to be here?
I'm not sure of the time frame, but I know it's going to be relatively soon. And I was so excited for Jim McDowell and the people at the mall, because this could be that ripple out there that starts other businesses to come back into the mall. That Planet Fitness will be on the south end of the mall.
Okay.
Out near Roses.
Okay.
And it gives us another option. It's very inexpensive for those who are maybe as adamant about it getting in championship condition, but they just want to stay somewhat fit and exercise at their leisure. So I think it's a great addition. And I will say the mall has put a plan together that brings out 5 different areas of the mall. They're separating them into parcels, and we're hopeful that will spark some interest from other businesses to come to. It might be a nice way to help business people think it more in terms of, hey, that might be the right location now. The way they've boxed this up, this might be a better fit for our business now. So.
Yep. Well, that's exciting news. Love to hear about growth happening in Marion.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Folks, we want to keep you tuned in and keep you up to date on all of the new news and things that are happening and coming to our community. And if you learn of something that you would like to share with other viewers, please don't hesitate to call the show. Leave a message on our message line, 536 WSOT, or text it. Go to the show website, ctmarion.com. You can watch anytime, 24 hours a day, and you can watch what we just talked about, or you can watch last month's episode. But we do want to keep you watching, and we're all out of time. Thanks to Fire Chief Jeff Williams for coming on to the show, and thank you, Mayor, for joining us. And we're going to invite viewers to keep watching WSOT for some more quality family programming that you can trust right here.